Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode on Altar Call, a Married at First Sight podcast. But this is an off season episode where I have been covering Couples Therapy Season 4 with my co host, Jenn. Hi, Jenn. How are you?
I'm doing good. I survived these crazy Thailand sidewalks and I made it home in one piece. So, life is good.
I know. How are you feeling? Again, I don't think we've discussed how you for maths. Maths coming soon. Are you
I'm
ready? Are
excited.
you
I'm
excited? Do you have
excited for it.
expectations?
I'm excited for it because I used to, before we started traveling internationally, we lived outside of Austin. So I feel like I'm excited to see some of the places that I've been before. I'm excited because I believe this cast is a little bit older, or at least there's some older people that have been cast on the cast. So it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see how that goes. For some reason, there's a huge number of real estate agents, which leads me to believe that they're not from Texas, which always throws a weird element when you shoot it in the city, but the people aren't from the city. Um, yeah, so I'm excited to see what they churn out and how Peacock handles it and all of it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Real estate agent has become a reality TV show job for me. You know, there's a whole bunch of people. They have real estate agent, they have personal trainers, and then they
Hmm.
what's the other one? Marketing. It's so vague.
Hmm.
So you're right. We'll see how this plays out. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out with an older couple. I don't think we've ever had that. But then in the preview, the whole thing of I'm pregnant. I'm just where are we headed with that? Like, are we entering the era of maths where we're centered around one thing? Like with Denver, it was like someone got left at the altar, so we centered around that for the whole time. And then last season, someone cheated, so we centered around that the whole time. So is it going to be centered around someone being pregnant? And is the pregnancy from someone on the show or before they came on the show? Which begs the question: was a pregnancy test done? Questions that need
I
answers.
mean, this is why you're the perfect person for this. You will have your investigator hat on. You're like, I've got questions and I need them all answered immediately. This is awesome.
Oh, really wish I had the freedom to do that, but the powers that be. Okay, until while we are here. We are here for couples therapy, but like we discussed, Maths is going to be back next week. Stay subscribed so you don't miss out on the episodes. For those who don't know, it'll be back October 23rd and it's going to be 4 episodes that are dropping. So, yeah, check that out on Peacock. Um okay. How are we feeling about this week's episode?
Um, they left us on such a huge cliffhanger last week that I was ready to like see some explosions coming through, and so I was not. I kind of felt a little wah wah wah
Mhm.
with the grand unveiling of the big secret, but
Mhm.
and then I'm also trying really hard to not be a broken record on folks. So I'm trying to find something positive about the people that I haven't found things positive before. So I'm turning over a new leaf.
It's kind of tough because it feels like what we met in episode 1 or whenever we first met them is what they are still now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to turn around because they haven't turned around, I believe.
Yeah. And it's so different from, the all the other reality shows that we watch where we get to see them in different parts of their lives and we get to see them interact with each other differently, but we're really kind of stuck with our perceptions of them in this one very sterile, very specific environment. And I don't know if we could necessarily get a totality of who they are in this short time that they spend with Orna. So I don't know. We'll do the
I
best we
think the
can.
only difference I see is okay, so we have 4 episodes left, right? And
Hmm.
I'm just sitting here wondering, is are there breakthroughs being made? Like, is this do you think it's working for anyone? I feel like when they come into the office, they realize it, and maybe there's some kind of like, let's say Rod and Allison, but I feel like the minute they leave, it's all out the window. Where in other seasons, I feel like I've seen some kind of impact, but I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah. And maybe it's this weird halfway through the season break where we're not getting as many episodes for the two, half seasons in one season, that
Yeah.
everything feels kind of stuck. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like, and I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily need to see a resolution to that, because that's not always the reality. The reality of therapy is that it takes a while, and maybe this is what people who are afraid of therapy or not exposed to therapy or whatever, like, it's not a fix all. It's not a, hey, in 10 days we're going to get married, and in 2 months after that we're going to know how this all turns out. Like, this is their real lives, and they're unpacking 18 years of togetherness plus another how many years before they got together. So there's a lot to unpack here, and we're seeing such a tiny snippet. Like, maybe if we only had one couple that we followed for the season, we could feel some growth and we could feel some change. But trying to follow four couples in an
But
abbreviated time thing.
it's not the first time though. It's always been abbreviated. It's always been this format. It's always been the same amount of time. And while we get snippets, they're going through the entirety of it all.
Hmm.
So what I mean is, like, in previous seasons, I have seen the impact. I've seen like the breakthrough, or like it's not like a fix all. They're not fixed
Hmm.
or anything. And I've seen, like, I've read the where are they now, and you've seen like what the work has done and how it has helped them. And I think maybe you have a point in that, unless that was the theme for this weird half season, weird new season and an old season wrapped together in one, where it's like sometimes maybe there isn't any breakthrough, or like how Orna is saying, like, this is not working for Boris and Jessica, like it's not being
Hmm.
helpful. Maybe that's the theme for the season. I don't know. It just really feels different from the other seasons, where I don't know if this is sinking in with the
Yeah.
people. That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah. Okay. So yes, like Jen mentioned, we were left in a cliffhanger and we're like, what could it be? And we pick right back up with them, and Orna is checking on Nick. How are you? Are you okay? He's like, I'm okay. I'm okay with Catherine continuing. So she shares that something happened to him in college, where he had walked into his dorm room and his friends were gathered around the computer. And they found porn that he had that was of larger women. And it was a time he was exploring his sexuality also with men, and just being fluid and to just open to trying out a lot of different things. And some of the porn was gay porn. So he felt like intense judgment and shame, and like he was going to be pigeonholed into like this whole Nick is gay. Horner stops her and is like, I want to ask details about the scene. I like how she said with the kids. She didn't say with your friends or anything. So when she said
Mhm.
kids, I'm like, is this middle school or something? But remember, he was in college. So she asked, like, did they break into his computer? And he says he doesn't remember anything other than walking in on them and them just saying, ooh, you're into fat women and you're into guys. And he just kind of blanked out after that. And after that, it was hard for him to go to class because he was conscious of what people were saying, and he felt trapped by the narrative and not having a voice to explain it. So I'll pause and ask you, Jen, on a scale of 1 to 10, from the build up to what it was, how shocking, or did it match up? What did you think?
On a scale of his reaction to it and how it impacts the relationship and how difficult it was for even him to talk about, to the point where Catherine had to say it for him, and then what it turned out to be, I'm going to go with like a negative 47, like a smooth negative 47 on that one. Um, yeah. What did you think?
I don't want to diminish what it did to him, because I'm going to go into later in something that Orna says, which I think is really true, but it wasn't the earth-shattering reveal that I
No.
thought it was going to be, because kids are going to be stupid. When you're younger, you're just stupid. It's the kind of thing I think, not saying is right, that you expect people to be like, oh, and people are so, narrow-minded, and that's what they're going to go with. But I just really thought it involved something like horrific. It's
Yeah.
horrific to him. Again, not minimizing that. This was not on my radar. as to what
No.
it was. I thought there was jail time. I thought there was I couldn't work. I thought, yeah, that. But
You had drugs and money laundering, like, you had all kinds of theories.
yeah, I'm thinking things that destroy it, like, I couldn't get a job, I couldn't work. That's why I own my own business. I had to start. I thought that. I did not think people saw my porn genre, and yeah, that was not my bingo card.
But the way that he reacted to it, you would think it was like a Carrie situation where, like, every time he walked into his room, like, dildos fell on his head. Like, it doesn't seem, at least the way they've explained it to us, that it went any further than that. And that they said, oh, we found this, that's weird. But it seems like he built up this narrative of how people were thinking about him in his head. And unless I'm wrong, it sounded like nothing really happened. Like, people didn't do anything to him. He was anticipating it, and he was waiting for it, and he was imagining these conversations happen. But I don't remember him actually saying anybody approached him with
Yeah.
this. This was all in his head.
And that's what Catherine said last week when he said he feels trapped or something like that. And she said, but no one put it there except you. Like, you're
Yeah.
the one who put yourself there. And the way he said, like, it was a public narrative and I felt like I didn't have a voice. Honestly, remember, I was like, I didn't want to Google because is he a public figure? Is there, was he canceled? And he felt like he didn't have a, like, it just didn't match
No.
anything in the realm of my possibility of what I thought it was going to be. So Catherine says it caused him to close it off, being so scared. And he was just so scared to be called gay that he's pushed away all, I don't know why she said feminine traits, like crying. I'm like, why is that a feminine trait? But okay. And, he transferred schools. So to me, that's like, okay, let's assume, let's go with it. He built his narrative. He thought it was reality to him. He transferred schools. That is a solution. So there was some kind of reprieve. So what is the issue?
I
Yes, there are people who
mean,
know people, and
mhm.
yes, there's going to be lingering things, but I do feel like almost everyone has some big thing or something that's happened to them. Again, we all carry trauma
Yeah.
that, you kind of work through. What I think the bigger picture is, and I don't know if they're going to delve into it, is him being ashamed
Yeah.
of the fact that of his sexuality. Let me put it that way. Yes, he was exploring it, but he's ashamed of the fact that he even thought about that or he even had a slight interest. And like, I understood. For us, maybe it doesn't seem so terrible because good God, all it was men and fat women. It's not. I just, they're making it sound like he was looking at ghouls, and he was like, "There's still no human beings."
It wasn't
But anyways,
furries. It wasn't furries. It wasn't like
yeah,
grandmothers. Like, this is normal things that,
I just
honestly, if you
regular
talk
human
to,
beings.
yes, if you talk to college boys, you'd be surprised how many of them would be like, if they were honest with themselves, like, yeah, of course I've looked at this because it's something that's I haven't seen, and now I have access to this. So that's why it's so weird to me to have this giant level of shame when nobody, like, I feel like that would have been a relief for him to be like, yeah, I looked at this stuff. They
And
teased me.
what? Yeah,
Yeah, they tease you for it, but like, dudes are gonna tease each other for everything. They're gonna find
exactly.
this, it's going to be your wiener size, it's going to be your hat, it's going to be that girl you're with, or whatever. They're going to find something to tease you about. And this, I would think that would resolve him of all this shame, but he then carried it with him somewhere else, which, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me from a operational standpoint where, okay, the thing that you're ashamed of came out. Like, people know about it.
Hmm.
And okay, now what? Like,
But
you didn't.
he's
Yeah.
not good with it, so he's not equipped to handle it because he himself is like, to me, that's the root. Like, what is it? He doesn't want to talk about his parents, right? So
Mhm.
what is the thing that he grew up with? Did he grow up in a homophobic household? Did he grow up in a household where his mom thinks like, or his dad think like, or his family in general think that, I don't know, fat people are gross and lazy or something? Because what is it that instills that much shame
Right.
about that? So that is to me what it is that he's carried it so much. And then even if he carried that, you were younger, now he's older, he has a child. It's a we I want to say a more progressive world, but I don't know where we are in the world today. But why hasn't he worked through it? Why has he carried this, like, the weight of the world on him? Like, I'm sure I want to know Catherine's reaction when she told him. Like, I hope she wasn't like, "That's it," because of course that's minimizing. That's your partner. But I really, I know Orna can't ask her that, but I wish we could be privy to Catherine when he told you. Did you think it was like a thing? Actually, she can ask, because if Catherine is like, honestly, I didn't think it was a big deal. Orna could
Mhm.
ask him, like, okay, so what if most people are like Catherine and it's not a big deal, and you realize that it's just you, and now
Yeah,
let's dig into why are you so, you know, ashamed of this.
yeah.
So,
And I would
oh, go ahead.
imagine Catherine probably felt relieved because the way he builds this up, that she seems like a very understanding, nice person. She clearly cares about him, and so for him to probably come at her and be like, "I can't talk about it, it's so this," and then to have it be the thing that it is, unless they're not telling us the whole thing, I'm sure she felt a little bit of relief, like, "Oh, okay, we can work with it. This is something we can work with and work through, and I'm happy to stay with you. And what does that mean for us?" And maybe he's gay. I don't know, but I think there's so much access to information. There's so many communities that are open to so many things. Like, even if maybe that's your assignment, sir, is that find one of these groups where you're feeling all of the shame and you realize, like, hey, you're not the only one, and people live normal, functional lives that are fine. Like, this doesn't have to define or change your life. And I
but that
whatever that exposure is, he needs to get there.
but that's what that goes back to what I'm saying. Like, I think there's something where maybe growing up or something that makes him believe
Hmm.
that being gay is like the worst thing he could ever be, and he just, that's why he thinks it's like the biggest deal, and isn't even looking. I think that's the other part for me, is like he's not even looking for a solution to ease the burden off of himself. He's
Or
basically just
Kathy.
trying to carry this. Yeah. So, well, Orna says there's something symbolic about the definition of masculinity in this story, because it seems like that's how he defined it for himself when this happened to him. And then she says there's so much violence and loss in this story. The loss part I get, the violence I'm not sure about. Do you?
Unless there was something that happened that we're not that's being cut, that we're not seeing, I
Mm,
don't know. And again,
yeah.
unless he walked into his dorm and they threw dicks at they threw dildos at him, I don't know what that could be, because it doesn't sound, unless he got beat up for it, which we didn't hear.
Here.
I'm
Yeah.
not hearing, I don't know what that disconnect is, but I'm feeling like you, where I'm not feeling the gravity of violence.
Yeah. So that part I didn't get. The loss I can kind of get, like the loss of his, not innocence, but who he truly is, and feeling like he has to put up an act of what he thinks masculinity is. So Orna shares this story with her peers, and how even in ayahuasca he mentioned how they had to keep circling back to him to pull the demons out of him. And in some ways she felt like she and Catherine had to do the same for him. And the peer, ever so carefully, said, considering the level of trauma that he expressed, and this is what came out, it's interesting. And I'm like, okay, it's not just us.
Yes, you are
Like,
us. You just said it more professionally than we did. You said it nicer than we did. But yeah, you're us.
everyone was like, "Oh, okay." So Orna says, she doesn't know why boys are this way, but their self consciousness is so extreme, and if they are injured at a certain point, instead of it just being like, "Oh, I got injured, I'm gonna heal," it becomes this full blown injury to the core. And that's the part I said I was gonna talk about, and it's true, because it's the same thing with, like, a boy gets his heart broken in
Mm.
middle school or high school, and he turns into Michael Michael Jordan in his documentary, and I will never forget this, and carry vengeance forever. Like, this will never happen to me again. And then they become this stoic person who acts like they don't have any feelings, and it's just like, all right, we all go through heartbreak. Like, get over it. It's not. So I think that's what she's saying, is like, why did he carry this so heavily? Like, it's not. It's something that could be worked through. Again, guys, I just want to emphasize not minimizing what happened to him. We all have different things that, was this big, that has a massive effect on us in our lives. I'm not minimizing it, but I feel like he has had enough time to kind of work through it and free himself of
Yeah.
this burden, you know?
And I guess if I had to come to his defense, and I think it's kind of the theme of the beginning of this season where they talk about things that happen to us in childhood, kind of stamp um, the way we react to situations. So to
Hmm.
your point, like because we know so little about his family, that maybe something happened, whether it's approval or whether it's an uncle that was gay that got kicked out of the house, like there's something there, and it's something that's so ingrained in him and the way that he's determined how he's going to respond to it, that he's not even open to knowing that there's another way to deal with that. And that's the piece that Orna's got to break into. But that goes back to him needing individual therapy. This isn't a Kathy issue. This isn't a Nick and Kathy issue. This is a Nick issue.
Hmm. Yeah. So that's what we got for Nick and Catherine this week. As an aside, that random cutaway they do before they switch to the next couples where people are just walking on the street and all that. I wondered how old this footage was because a lot of them had masks on.
I know, I noticed that too.
So I'm like, oh, this is probably the old footage from during, because I know they had a season, I think, was it during the pandemic or something like that? And maybe they just had that footage and were like, hey, we have free footage right here. Let's just
We
go
got
ahead with
B-roll.
that.
Nobody's gonna use it. Here you go. Here's some B-roll.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Listen, I know you think this might be too early to talk about, but the holidays sneak up on you fast, and it's not too early to get your shopping done and actually have fun with it. Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful, with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you can't find anywhere else. Uncommon Goods has products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the United States, where you can find gifts like ice cream flavored lickable bubbles for kids, trivia games for the trivia lovers in your lives, or for the grillers in your life, an entire periodic table of flavor rubs. As if that isn't incentive enough, every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So shop early, have fun, and cross some names off your list today. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/altarcall MAFS. That's uncommongoods.com/altarcall MAFS for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
And we're back. Back with Rod and Allison. Allison in these damn sweaters.
You
So,
clocked that too. I was like,
I mean,
oh,
it's been
glittery
every week.
sleeve.
Every
Glittery
week.
sleeve. Glittery sleeve. No, nobody likes a glittery sleeve like Allison.
This is not how you're going to break back into the fashion industry, but what do I know? She walks in saying, I'm going to behave today. I hope so. I
Mm.
think so. But then they start bickering about starting because Rod is like, usually we come in and I know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Like, where do we go from here? And he tells her like he gets annoyed when she says that he doesn't speak. And he's like, I feel like I speak. At least even in here, I feel like I speak. Like, am I mute? Like, I do talk. Like, why does she keep saying that? And she's like, no, I know you do. I think you do. It was just a whole back and forth. But then Allison says, like, she sees him in a complacent place. And he says, yes, sometimes I am complacent. And then you give me a needed kick. And Orna is like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea for Allison to give you that kick. And that made me laugh so hard. Because usually Orna tries to keep the peace, but she's like, nah, I'm gonna call a timeout on this one. You don't give the kick. She was like, because if she gives you the kick, it burdens her and it robs you of getting in touch with your own thing. He says like he has been conscious of his homework of not filling the blanks. And Orna says just noticing that there are blanks is good. As a sidebar, I know what I said at the top of the episode. I do think we're seeing some kind of effect on Rod and Allison. It's just that I feel like it's temporary, like it lasts for a few days and then they come back and then it's something else again, or
It's a new
they're
problem, yeah.
still there. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, yeah, and then there's a new problem.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. Um Allison keeps telling Rod, like, I want you to stand by yourself. And Orna is like, that's contradictory because you're telling him what to do, but then you're saying stand on your own. And he says, yeah, because that's why I usually just take the back seat because she'll tell me what to do anyways. And Orna's like, well, yeah, I hear you, but you can call her in too. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's true. And Anna asks him, like, what is he avoiding? Like, what can they be if they didn't habitually engage with each other this way? Because this started, and now they're just used to the fact of how they communicate with each other, her yelling, him keeping quiet, then him feeling like a saint that he kept quiet, she feeling bad, but then it's like, you need to do something. And Allison's like, honestly, I can't even imagine us not communicating this way. And Orna is like, you need to think about how else you can connect. And it sounds like she's the expert, trust me, but it really just sounds like a vague homework. Like, why can't they get something specific? Oh, wait, because they might not follow up and we don't know what the results are. But saying, think about how else can you connect. Isn't that tough?
Yes and no. Like, I think one thing that Orna does really well, specifically with these two, is that calling them out while the thing is happening. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's some people will be like, okay, let's just let them talk and then I'll mention it to them. But I think she
Mm-hmm.
does a good job of stopping Allison when she spirals, and she's stopping Rod when he's like, oh, I'm innocent. And she's like, no, no, you're not. And here's why you're not. So I think that that's their work, or that's Orna's work for them, is to call them out in real time, because and hopefully that's something that they can start doing without her. So I don't know if you can give somebody specific homework on that, other than say, like, hey, here's an example of when that happens. um because yeah, noticing the blanks that require Allison to fill them is frustrating for Allison, but also Allison saying she doesn't know what she wants doesn't help Rod, So, but again, I do like too that Orna points out that Allison says contradictory stuff, because otherwise Alice would be like, see, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. You're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
challenging me. So she needs to be challenged. And maybe Rod is slowly picking up on that. Like, because when she's challenged by Orna, she generally backs down.
Yeah. That's not in the
So
office. So
in
when
the
they go out,
in the
does
office.
it carry over?
Right.
Is the thing. Yeah, we didn't get much of them. Is there anything else of them that I'm missing?
I like the quote, and I wrote it down, where Orna said, "For things to change, you have to imagine what you want the change to look like," which is homework, I think, for both of them. Because to Allison saying, "I don't know how to do this any other way." All right, what do you want this to look like? What do you want in exchange for with Rod to look like? And Rod, what do you want in exchange with Allison to look like? Because you're not necessarily a docile man. Like, you go out
Mhm.
into work and you lead this career and you're doing relatively well in your career. So whatever skills you're using that are making you successful at work, what of those can you employ at home? And that's work that they're both going to have to do. But I think, Allison has said on several times, she doesn't know what she wants. She doesn't know what she wants until she gets pressed on it. And maybe that's Rod's homework too, is when she says these things, if you get her to be specific on what it is that she's upset about, then maybe that'll calm her down.
I think they're a baby step kind of couple.
Yeah.
And I feel if they got you know how we have a word a day, do a action a day type
Yeah.
of couple, maybe that would help. Like at the very top, sit down, write down what you want out of this, like your
Mhm.
goals. Like, what is it that you want? Is it more intimacy? Is it financial independence? Like for Allison, is it you actually wanting a job? Like, give them a number and say, write 5 things that ideally in your ideal world, what would you want to get at the end of this, right? Then you work backwards and it's like, what are the things that we can get there? Like for Allison, if you're always cutting Rod off, it's like, today I will go a day. I'm just making things up the fly. Like,
Mhm.
I will go a day and not cut him off, and if I do, there'll be like a tip jar or something, and I put $1 in or something like that. And then for Rod, I will take charge of XYZ so
Right.
that she doesn't have to do that. For her, if you want to go back to work, like, what kind of work do you want to do? Like, because majority of it is like she needs to make peace with the fact that she's not working anymore. If
Hmm.
she is going to go back to work, I keep wondering, why does that not come up as an option? Is it not an option that she can go back to work? I'm
Right.
confused about that dynamic. We're not getting enough information because she seems resentful of the fact that he's the breadwinner and she wants him to do more. So if it's the complacency, like even that, write a list of all the things that you wish your partner could change, no matter how realistic or non-realistic it is. Like, let's start with all of it, then drill down to what is realistic and then what we can work on. And then maybe practice will make perfect. So because like my favorite quote in life is practice makes perfect, so be careful what you practice. So
Mm.
maybe if you practice something every day, it becomes habit and it might
Yeah.
help and it's just baby steps and it might get there.
Hmm.
Because right now Orna is so right that they're stuck on this mode or phase they've been on for how many ever years, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
If they continue like this, Rod is one step, if not already there, checked out.
Yeah.
He's just there to be like, yes, dear, okay, dear, okay, dear. And that is driving Allison nuts.
All right.
But they can't get
But
out. It's
also,
like a car stuck in mud.
yeah. But also when he says stuff, she's like "Rah, rah, rah, rah," at him too.
Yeah.
So I think Allison needs and wants a win. And so maybe that's
Mhm.
their thing. Like, let's set you up so that you can feel like you've won something, whether you've won it
Mhm.
between us, whether you've won it in the world, whether you've won it with your kid. I think whatever she needs to feel like she won, it needs to be separate from her kid. Like, it seems like her kid is well adjusted. The kid is generally happy. So let's do something that is focused on you personally and then you guys as a couple where you can consider it a win. And
Yeah.
it makes me think of like Super Nanny when she used to go into people's houses and she gave the kid a chart because, again, kids need structure and schedules and all of that. And maybe Allison needs either more structure or less structure. I don't know what her life looks like. I don't know what she does all day when her kid's at school. But maybe she just needs some wins and some gold stars. So here, make yourself a chart of what it is that you want to accomplish and let's give you gold stars. And I think too, if she can give herself a list that's visual, then Rod will also know what that is and either can recognize it and give her a pat on the back when she achieves it, or he can help her reach there, or he can just really be aware of what she's doing, to your point, to take stuff off of her plate so she can focus on the thing that she wants.
Yeah, and she needs to not be scared to be introspective. I do
Mm,
think Allison is scared of being introspective because she's scared of what she might find. I think
mm,
she's on a very, very low level scale of where Boris is. Like, she's used to she doesn't want to feel like she's the, monster or the aggravator, or like she's just angry. But that is the reality of it, is that she does get triggered and she does get angry. And you can't get to that level of anger and someone asks you why you're angry and you say I'm not. That's
mhm,
crazy. There's a
mhm.
huge dissonance there. So you
Yeah.
need to really like be okay and not be scared to go in to figure out why am I so angry and face it, because you are scared that the answer might be you. Like you're the one, causing that. So if you can do that, maybe there's hope for them, but that is a lot to ask for anybody. So
But again, I wonder if too, and I don't know if we're watching these out of order, but I think for her that shame, the veil of shame of her saying like, yeah, I I'm resentful of the fact that I gave up my career or that I've lost this time in my career because I raised
Mhm,
my kid. Okay, you've said the big thing out loud. You've
mhm,
called the thing a thing. Now what?
mhm,
So I'm hoping maybe moving forward we'll find some resolutions.
mhm. All right. Take a quick break and a reminder that if the ads are annoying, I have a tier that is ad free on patreon.com at Altacall MAFS. All right, we are back to enigmas wrapped in a riddle because Kyla Mundo, I 1 foot forward, 2 steps backwards because I'm confused all over again. So we see pictures of Kyla Mundo in Mexico, and they share with Orna that they were on vacation with their friends, and then they went to a bathhouse together as a couple, and it was so much fun. And I'm like, wait, I had to go Google a bathhouse. Guys, I thought a bathhouse was like, spa and stuff, and I was like, this is not what they're talking about.
Oh, you're
Then
adorable.
So then I found out that it could also be a place of fun. Nobody
Mm,
has been redefined. In my defense, apparently Google said like in the last few years, it's when it was redefined. Because I've had like we had like a huge when I lived in Texas, like a bathhouse, but it was like a Korean spa. And you go there and you get good skin. And I thought,
mm.
oh, okay, it's changed. So that's
Yeah,
what it
you're
is. So I'm updated now. And then Kyle says like it was like he was not finished and he wanted more. Mondo fills in the gaps and is like, they were there, they had fun for 3 hours, and he was like, come on, how much sex can you have? And he was ready for dinner, and he was asking him, like, oh, are you ready to go? And it put him back in that place of feeling like the adult calling the shots. And you could see Kyle just shut down, and he can feel it kill the mood of what they just experienced. Um, Kyle says like it wasn't enough, that he could keep going. And just when he started having fun, you took this away from me because I haven't been able to have fun until tonight. Mundo is like, excuse me? What have the last 3 days been? And he says, like, yeah, the experience of being in the house and being with their friends, that he was missing the deaf component, like, sign language and things. And Mundo says, like, he understood his feelings, but why did it take going to the bathhouse to express that?
mm,
Which I think is a valid question.
mhm.
Orna stops him and is like, I'm wondering if that's what's happening now, where Mondo is talking and talking and you're being silent. And Orna is asking, are you holding things in? And Kyle is like, no, I'm waiting for my turn and I'm just listening. So in a way, right? I like that Kyle was pushing back to Orna. So because you know how sometimes because she's a doctor and because you're in therapy, so then we feel like everything must mean something. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I did feel like I'm just waiting my turn. Like just because everyone's not an Allison cutting people off, like he's like, I'm gonna talk. I'm just let him be done. And then when he's done, I'm gonna talk. I personally didn't feel like it meant anything. So I was kind of glad when he was pushing back and he's like, no, I'm just waiting. I will talk. What did you think about that?
I d I I don't know, but I have a tough time with Kyle. Like, are you listening to respond, or are you listening because what Mondo's saying makes sense? Like,
Mhm.
there has to be a world that even though Kyle is insatiable and the 3 hours of sex, which I can't even fathom wasn't enough. Like there has to be a world where you understand Mondo's hungry. Like y'all have been at this for 3 hours and the boy just wants a burger, a quesadilla, some guac, and then you can go back at it. But the fact that he was like, I'm so into my own self and my own needs that I don't give a rat's ass if you're hungry and you've just ruined it. Not only do I not care, but now I'm going to express to you that you've ruined my time. So I don't know. I have a hard time with Kyle because it just really feels like he's not open, whether that's a function of him tuning in, tuning out, or whether it's a function of him just wanting what he wants regardless. I just have such a tough time with him because I think for me, as a 50-year-old woman, what Mondo said makes sense. We've been doing whatever. I don't want to do anything for 3 hours without a snack. Like, can we stop and come back? Like, I don't care what it is, whether it's sex or ping pong or pool, whatever. Like after 3 hours, I want a little break. So that to me seems like a rational ask from your partner. And it just feels always that Kyle is not, even though Mondo's pretty clear about what he wants, Kyle doesn't seem to care. And I have a hard time trying to connect with him when he doesn't seem to be able to compromise with his partner for his partner. So I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree because Kyle says he had a different agenda and he was having fun. And then it's like, let's go home to my hearing friends. Fuck no. That's exactly what he said. And adding to everything you just said, yes, this is where it's highlighted that it seems like a one sided relationship where the focus is heavily on Kyle. Because my first question, first of all, was what are the dynamics of this bathhouse? I know Mondo said he's not open to an open relationship. I don't, is this sex with them or with other people? It sounded like with other people.
It did, and maybe there's just the voyeurism aspect of it. I imagine that Mondo is at the place of, okay, I've got to do this thing to keep my man. So I'm going to do this thing as a one off. I don't think this was going to be Mondo's like new life. I think, we're on vacation. This is something you like. It makes you happy. I'll join it and try it too because we're
Yeah.
together. Because we're together. So even though this is a thing that you want, I'm with you this time. So I could see like Mondo making concessions for it.
But yet again, Mondo is making a concession because if he
Right.
had his way, honestly, I don't think he would do this. So he's already doing this for you, and then he's saying like, we're gonna go have dinner." What makes Kyle's desire to keep having sex supersede Mondo's desire to go have dinner? It always feels like Kyle's needs should be put first. Like
Right.
Kyle really genuinely seems so angry. Like when he said fuck no, it came from his esophagus. It was deep. It came deep, deep when he said that. And I'm like, why are you so angry? Like he's meeting you halfway, which is a
Right.
lot more than you've ever done. And there's just a lot of selfishness on Kyle's point where it's like, Mondo, you understand me. Mondo, you understand me. But there's no understanding for Mondo.
Exactly.
So again, although when he said that again, it seems like Mondo reminds him of his disability. And again, I ask, why are you with someone who consciously or subconsciously triggers you? Because when
Right.
he said, let's go back home to your hearing friends, and it's like it becomes overwhelming for him to just keep up with the conversation. And, going back again to all the people he's ever dated were deaf and they understand they have that commonality. It seems like that's why he enjoys being in an open relationship because it's the one time where he can be free and he doesn't have to worry about that. It just seems like an unhealthy way to cope. We say this every week, so nothing's going to change. But again, this just highlights the dynamics of their relationship where, Mondo bends, it's not enough for Kyle, and he becomes a bad guy because he starts to parent because we've heard him say Kyle goes overboard because like you said he's insatiable, like nothing he does is enough.
Hmm.
So unless you're like, I'm gonna go to dinner and you continue to have fun, I'll see you later, but it's not in Mondo's nature to do that.
No, that would be torture for Mondo. It'd
Yeah.
be like being at home. This supposedly is a vacation for them and maybe Mondo's friends. It sounds like they're not Kyle's friends. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a time to be away from all the stuff that's been weighing you down. But you want to act exactly how you act on vacation as you do at home. So how is this comfortable for Mondo? And I don't know. I want to understand Kyle so badly, but he does not do a good job of, unless he's angry, he doesn't do a good job of communicating with Mondo what his needs are that would be a compromise. It's not like he said, okay, if he had said, okay, babe, give me 1 more hour, then we'll go to dinner. Okay, babe, give me 30 minutes, then we'll go to dinner. Like there was no compromising. It's like, I don't want to go. And now I'm going to be pissy with you all night. That's not fair.
And it almost feels like he's waiting for Mondo to do the littlest thing for him to pick at it and say, "Well, there you go, you've done this." Like it might not have even been dinner; it might have been just something else. And it's like he's waiting, and he'd be like, "Oh well, look, you did this, you've ruined my whole mood," and then that's it.
Right.
Just Mondo is the mascot of his annoyance, and it's
Well,
just again unfair.
yeah. And it's what I said before. Like for whatever reason, it feels to me like Kyle's doing that thing that dudes do where they're going to give you every reason to break up with you,
Mm,
give you every reason to break up with them. And they can say, well, she broke up with me or he broke up with me. I'm not the bad guy.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
the problem? They broke up with me. It's not my fault. Oh, feel bad for me. I got broken up with and I'm deaf. Oh no. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, so Kyle explains that it does get overwhelming when he's with his friends trying to catch up and he just gives up and then he just people watches and he doesn't say anything. He finishes his rant and he's like, whew, that felt so good. And Orna says that she's developing a private theory that Mondo is working so hard that he cannot pick up on the cues that Kyle sends him, but also Kyle is not sending enough cues that he is in distress. And I'm like, that's nice and everything, but I still don't understand how that answers why he wants to be in an open relationship. I just
But
it's not fair. It just feels like Mondo is like on the short end of the stick, and you always preach individual therapy. Like Kyle needs to figure some stuff out, because while he's figuring stuff out, he's carrying Mondo along, and poor Mondo is like a puppy. Like, what do you need me to do? I'll just do it. I'll do it. But at some point, how long? Because you're gonna do all this, and at the end, Kyle is gonna be like, nah, I can't be with someone.
yeah, you're too
Um,
overbearing. Like I
like
think
you.
it
Yeah.
yeah, it's a catch-22 for Mondo because again, because of Kyle's childhood trauma, like I think he likes to have a man around that's not going to leave, but then at the same time he's frustrated by a man that's not going to leave. So you can't have it both ways, you know? And I think I love it when you say this that no matter how long you're together that you can't read each other's minds. And
Mhm.
I'm going to add, you can't read each other's cues clearly. Like I
Yeah.
can't just pout and have you expect you to know what I'm pouting about. Like I have to tell you if you're overwhelmed by conversations or I can recognize that you've checked out, but I don't know why you've checked out. So
Yeah.
if you're feeling like, bro, I need to check out because I'm overwhelmed, there's too much going on, like you've got to communicate that with him. Because I don't think, again, like Jessica, Mondo's not a difficult person to communicate with. You just have to talk to him because if not, he's going to fill in
The
holes.
blanks.
Just, yeah,
Mhm.
he's going to fill, that's our new thing. He's going to fill in the blanks the way that Rod isn't doing with Alison, you know?
Mhm. I think the final thing for me is Kyle is like he's scared that to speak or say what he needs, because he's scared that if he says what he needs that Mondo will walk away. And I thought about this, and I'm like, I think that's what my issue with Kyle is I don't know if Kyle is being genuine. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel some things are not really a big deal, but he feels like I gotta say something here in therapy. I'm gonna connect it because he said I feel like you're gonna walk away like my dad did, like my stepfather did. And I could be being unfair and not reading into that, but I think maybe when Orna talks about him not connecting, maybe a part of him just like some people's response to trauma is like nothing is a big deal. So it's
Mm,
not a big deal, like, but I feel like everyone feels like it should be a big deal. So okay, I'll make it a big deal. And that's why he listens and doesn't really interject, because he's like, if I was being honest, I don't really care. I just want to do what I want to do, but I guess I'm supposed to say something here. And then he says things. So I don't know if a lot of all the things he's saying is like Mondo is in serious distress, and I think
yeah.
Kyle is just like, I don't, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I just want to have fun, and he's just vibes, you
Yeah.
know. So
And I guess if again, without being the Kyle attacker, if I had to give him the devil's advocate, it may be that thing of, well, you're going to leave anyway. You're going to leave
yeah,
me eventually. So why should I not have what I want because you're going to leave regardless? Why should I go without because you're going to leave anyway? And so maybe that's what his approach is that I can't rely on you, even though Mondo showed you 8 million ways that he can. But because I have this thing imprinted on me in my childhood that men leave, I know that no matter what you say, because it sounded like he had a pretty good relationship with his stepdad before he left. So no matter what people say, they're going to leave. So I'm not going to twist myself into a pretzel to keep you here when I know you're just going to leave anyway. So that might be his rationale for his behavior. I don't know.
that's sad because it
It
becomes
is
a
sad.
self-fulfilling prophecy because you're just doing all of
Exactly.
the things. So
Yeah. Sounds like something you should work out in therapy, huh?
all right, our final couple, the worst men in the world, Boris and Jessica. Orna is telling her peers, or Virginia, I can't remember, her peers, that most of the couples she sees progress. Them trusting me makes them trust each other, but Jessica and Boris are different. And all the peers immediately she says that are like, yeah.
They've seen the tapes.
Orna says from the first session, Boris called himself a monster, and then he feels outraged at that characterization as things go further, and it seems to be like he is, in fact, a monster. She didn't say that. That's me. The peer says that it's that he is shocked at his effect on her. Like the fact that she's specifically being destroyed by him. I'm like, oof. So they're back in the office, and Boris says, there are things in life that one wishes to do. And then there's things in life that one doesn't wish to do, but one has to do. And there's things in life that one doesn't wish to do and doesn't have to do. And there's a fuckload in my life in the third department. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't
Yeah,
even know what you're saying at this point.
yeah, it's called being an adult with children. Yeah, you've got shit to do. You don't just get to tap in and tap out and have everything about you. That's what happened when you decided to have a family. That you decided to get rid of the Boris show when you had a family. We don't feel bad for you.
Orna says, like, what? He's like, I will never again live in a house. It is somebody else's dream because I'm trying to figure out what softener goes into the water filter. And there are a dozen tasks like this on my doorstep, and there's not enough time on earth that's long enough to do that. He's just you guys, he doesn't have a job. What is he filling his day with? Like changing the water filter? Like, what are you bitching about? You have a house and you're not working. Are you over to his side, you can see Jessica rubbing her temples. And she actually interjects. I thought she was going to be quiet. And she's like, can we talk about me for a little bit? Oh dear.
I love her.
This self proclaimed monster shows out. He says, we are getting to you. I want to explain where I am. Don't worry. It will get to you. It will get to you. I have had enough. You are not forgotten, I promise. You are on my mind all the time. This isn't just a Boris show. He's yelling the entire time he's saying this, guys. The entire time. Orna is just like, huh. And then she's like, how does this play out between the two of you? Like, what is the ask? And he's like, I'm radiating negativity and it's no fun for her. You know, it's almost comical because you can tell that Boris has an out of body experience and he sees himself as the raging monster and he wants to stop, but he just can't help himself. Like, it's beyond.
Yeah, it's feeling very self-fulfilling prophecy the same way Kyle is. It's like, you're going to leave me anyway, so I'm going to give you all the reasons to leave me and then be surprised when you leave me. It's like, what?
He just wants her to feel terrible, but she already feels terrible
Mm-hmm.
and is terrible. We get there, and I just don't know what else he wants. So, Jessica says she's feeling like let's talk about us and all the things they individually need to be doing for them to live right now. For example, she has to make money. She was stable at some point, and now she's getting less and less stable. And I'm like, wait, what? Then she says that she has not been physically well for a while and she's had a persistent cough for nearly a year. And she has lost weight that she wasn't trying to lose. Her hands are shaking. Her immune system is shot, coupled with the emotional part. And I'm like, have you gone to a doctor? Because honestly, my first thought went to cancer and I was like, oh God. It
Oh
did.
no.
It skipped way past the emotional breakdown manifesting as the physical. I just
Mm-hmm.
went straight to cancer and I was like, because I mean, you have a cough for a long time. I'm like,
Yeah.
did we get that checked out? Have we been to the doctor? So she feels like she is headed to a place where she won't be able to work for a while. And she has asked the monster, she didn't call him that, I did, to go away and to move out so that she can calm the situation. Orna asks him what he prefers, and he says, yeah, I'll prefer to stay. Of course you would. How would you pay your rent? Because it would be worse to move out. I'm like, okay, Brokey. So Orna asks what another option is. And he says, well, another option is Boris figures out a way to not be so upfront about all the things bothering him, and Jessica continues tolerating and acknowledging Boris's difficult moments by engaging with him and making him feel like this is her burden too. First of all, what asshole talks about themselves in third person?
Boris. Boris does. Boris.
I just, he's so tunnel visioned with his, what he called self described clinical depression and pain and torture that he cannot see outside of himself. He's just me at this point, and it's so frustrating to watch. And Orna is like, I wonder if the solution you're looking for, recruiting Jessica, is the way to go. Like, it's not realistic. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
what? Recognition, acknowledgement, and shared purpose cannot be a fantasy. She goes, I don't know, because recognition is code name for something beyond another person's capacity to give. And he's like, well, then it's not a good dynamic for me. And Orna says, trust me, from clinical experience, your ask might be too much, and they may not be able to give it to you. Jessica could be saying, I cannot be the person helping you here. And he's like, I understand the thing that I am seeking from the other person can't give. And Honor says, okay, let's see you guys kind of figure it out. He's like, nah, 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 nah. We did this last week. Let's not do this again. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but you did it. You did it last week, and it didn't work because you're doing it again. So clearly, it needs more work. Well, you're a writer, sir, so you know about editing, and you know about having to revisit your product. So let's revisit the product and edit. You dummy! Who
It's so
said?
frustrating.
Somebody said he's. I think it was Orna or somebody in her group said he's more in love with his own psychodynamics than he is with Jessica. And truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah, I'll lead up to that. But Orna says, "How can I help you with that?" And he says, "Jessica is very furious with me existentially." He says, "Yeah, it's valid, but she has very little rope to do anything but grit her teeth, and she doesn't want to deal with it with her soul and her heart." And I don't know if you've noticed, so many times he said that Jessica is gritting her teeth, and every time he says that, I'm like, "What is the solution to that for you?"
Right. But also, if you recognize that your wife is white knuckling it and she's giving herself TMJ and she's rubbing her temples and all of these things are directly associated with you. She's not stressed about work. She's not stressed about the kids. She's not stressed about home. All of these things are affecting her mentally, physically, emotionally, are all from you to the point where she's like, my resolution to this is to have you go somewhere else. And instead of
Mm-hmm.
you going, oh shit, what did I
I've
do?
gone too far. Mm-hmm.
Right. But no, you're like, nah, I don't want to do that. What the hell, sir?
You don't want a solution. You just want to
No,
feel better,
no.
regardless of who it may hurt. So he says, like, she's not acknowledging that he's going through a self identity and worth crisis. And she says, I have done that. It's just not enough for you. And then he asks her, like, can you open yourself up to the possibility that you haven't? And I want to say, I wish she screamed no to his face. Like, no, okay, where do we go from here? Okay, no. Like, it's so but she's like, the thing is, your feelings are so big that they fill up a lot of space, and I'm tired of fighting for space.
Oh,
And this man doesn't care how he says things, and I wish she wouldn't be so careful with her words, and I wish she would just share her thoughts unfiltered, because maybe that's what he needs. Because Loki, I think he gets off on the fact that she's there all broken and all like weepy and just like breaking down, because this is a man. What is the quote, Jen? Um, the thing that makes you thrive.
oh. The thing that makes you thrive is the thing that is making my life harder.
Yes. So once you say that, you can't take that back. This is a man who does not wish you well, as far as I'm
No,
concerned.
no.
So she's crying now, and then he puts his hand on her back, like trying to comfort her. I'm like, don't touch me. So she says she was initially hopeful, but now she feels doomed. And she wishes some part of him would be like, she's shriveling and she's unwell. Let's prioritize that so that she can be okay. But his feelings, again, are so big, so there's no room for those considerations. And he doesn't say anything. He just looks defeated. He's just more, he wants to be right than he
Yes.
wants to fix things.
Yep.
So Orna tells Virginia that this is not something you can ask of a partner, and he can't stand that. And she talks about conversion symptoms that she has, her being sick and all that. And that's when Virginia, like Jen said earlier, says that he's more in love with his neurotic psychodynamics than being loved by a real person. So in couples therapy, he's more lost in that than actually listening to possible solutions. And then Orna rounds it up by saying, like, I'm completely useless to him and feels like he could bolt at any minute. Like, he absolutely does not like her, and she is in dangerous territory right here.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
wonder where I wonder where Boris ranks in Orna's difficult patience.
I hope this is the
because this
most difficult case she's ever had, because he is just, and is he doing it for camera? Like, is there a part of us that
No.
maybe he's doing this for TV? Because I don't know how Jessica has been there this long. I don't know how you can be with somebody who's actively told you, not only privately, if he's telling us this publicly, I can't imagine the shit he says to her when they're alone. If he publicly
Mm-hmm.
tells you, I recognize that you're thriving and I don't like it. I recognize that I'm making everything harder for you and I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I don't know how you come back from that. I don't know what you tell Jessica. How do you advise Jessica to deal with that? Like, have we been in a session where she's not crying and he's mad over something that she doesn't say anything. She's not triggering you. She's not challenging you. She's saying, please listen to me. And that makes you mad. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, that was it for this episode. I don't know I don't know where anybody goes from here. I would like to have a one episode where everyone's smiley, but I think that's asking for a lot. But honestly, right now my concern is for Jessica. Like, please go take care of yourself. If he is the person in your life causing you to be sick, get rid of that man. Like, get him out of there, you know?
Yeah. We'll just send Jessica over to Mondo's house. Mondo will take care of her. We can send Kyle over to Boris's house. The two of them can ignore each other all day and it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Couple swap.
Couples therapy swap. We just came up with a new reality show.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. Jen, can you share with people where they can find you?
Of course, I always enjoy talking to you. You can follow our adventures on Instagram and YouTube at jns.adventures.
Yeah. You know where to find me, guys. Also call MAFS on all the socials. If YouTube is your preferred medium, you can listen to me on there too, but no video, but you can listen to the audio on there. Please give me a 5-star rating if you're so inclined. And until next time, talk to you then. Bye.